Hey everybody, I see we have a good amount of people logging in now. The webinar is set to start here in about 3 minutes. So we'll chime back in there and get everything started. I'll start sharing my screen, but just wanted to thank everybody for joining on now, and we will get started here in about 3 minutes. Hey everybody, thank you for joining in on today's Feature Spotlight webinar. This is going to be a bi-weekly webinar we'll be holding for Raven tools moving forward, and we're going to be highlighting a piece of the software and a tool, and specifically running over workflows, best practices, taking questions, and then also if there's any new features coming down the road, we'll be able to dive into those if we have those betas available. But really just kind of highlighting certain areas of Raven. Today's webinar, we're going to be highlighting the SERP Tracker. So we had a pretty good turnout for this one. It looks like most of y'all are on now. It's 1 o'clock, so we're going to get started. We're going to run through, we're going to look at the SERP feature in general, kind of that main tool page. Go over what all those metrics mean and how to add SERP trackers and things of that nature. Then we're going to get into the competitor section of the SERP Tracker, show you how you rank against your competitors. We'll dive into the WYSIWYG report and show you the report modules that tie into the SERP Tracker so you can pull those into a report. And then we're going to show you where you can add SERPs from other areas of the system, keyword management being that more particular one there. So we'll dive into all that. At the end of that, we'll take questions from anybody. If you have questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and enter those into the chat. I have Jeremy on with me right now, who's our Director of SEO and Product. He'll be answering any questions you have there or directing those towards me. We'll try to save them to the end unless it's pretty pertinent to get in that one particular moment. Jeremy can kind of handle that, and he'll take care of those for you. After we go over some questions at the end of this brief webinar, what we'll do is we'll dive in and show you this new tool we have coming out soon. It's called our Keyword Finder. I'm going to let Jeremy review that and kind of walk you through a little bit of what that has in store. It's some really exciting stuff here, so we're excited to show you what we have. So with that being said, thanks for joining. We're going to kick it off here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Great. So we'll start here with the SERP Tracker page. To navigate to this page, it's under Rank Tracking on your left-hand menu and SERP Tracker. You click that and you dive into this main page right here, which is going to be where you're going to contact most, or where you're going to document most of these SERP and these checks you have here. So I'll kind of go through a few of these aspects. I've added a bunch of keywords in here now to show you, but to add a keyword, what you're going to do is you're going to hit this button right here on the top right that says add keywords. Within here, you can enter in either one specific keyword or keyword phrase, or you can go and separate those by commas or by lines. And you can enter in any keywords you want here. Then you could pick your rank tracking frequency. This is a required field. You could do daily checks, weekly checks, and then select which day of the week you want to check those on. Then you could do monthly checks and select which day of the month you want to check those on. So you select your frequency here, and the third part of adding a keyword is you're going to want to select your search engine combinations. So you can add Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, and Baidu. To add these, what you're going to do is you're going to click the include button. And then for Google specifically, the options you have is you can enter a locale, which gives you a language and an area of the world. And then you can enter a zip code specific as well, if you'd like to bring that down to a local volume. And then you can add mobile or desktop. So you create this combination here, and then you can hit add another to add another combination if you'd like. And I'm going to go ahead and show you something else here. So then you can go into Bing, you can add here, Yahoo, add here, however you want to, however many combinations you want to add. For testing purposes, I'm going to show you here, we'll add 2 combinations here on one keyword. So this is important, and I'll show you why. After you select your combinations here, so for instance, if I were selecting this keyword, it would check on the 3rd day of the month. It would check for the US in this specific zip code, and then would check for the US with no zip code specific, so kind of a national ranking there. You can hit review and confirm. And the important part about this is in the review and confirm screen, it is going to tell you how many checks that you are projected to have based on this criteria that you set up. So we said 1 keyword on 2 search engines. So that was the Google with a zip code and Google without a zip code. And then that's going to do 2 or more checks each month. So kind of the way you add that up, if you were to select daily, that's going to give us 1 keyword, 2 search engine checks. Checking daily is going to give us 60 checks for this month. So looking at these, you're going to be able to tell how many checks you're adding to your count here, as well as the combinations. So I'm going to hit back and show you where these are calculated. Right here is going to be your rank position check usage. What this is the allocation that you have per billing period for rank position checks. Right now, this says 1,200 because this is a demo account, but most of the accounts are going to be much higher than this. We start off at our freelancer plan for 7,500 checks. It goes all the way up to our Thrive package, which is, I believe, 30,000 checks. So we do have a pretty big window there, and you can kind of look at those checks as what pertains most to your organization and things of that nature. Every check over this limit is going to be 0.003 cents. So even if you do go over this limit, it's not too bad there, and that will be added on to your invoice at the end of the month. So once you add in those keywords, you'll see your rank position check get estimated. Oh, the other thing about this is an estimated count. So for instance, if we selected daily on those keywords and they're running and it's going to give us 60 estimated checks. If we stop it halfway through the month, those are only going to be 30 checks that actually happened, and that rank position check usage will update and it'll remove the checks that didn't happen. So it calculates what you have going on. So if you see that number skyrocket and you might have added something you didn't want to add, you can adjust that and see what that'll end up being. So once you add in all your criteria, it is going to generate your keywords down below. These are going to generate in a pending status. I did these yesterday so we could have some rankings to look at, but within 24 hours, those rankings will come back and you'll be able to see those rankings. So for instance, this Nashville SEO right here ranked 11th on Google, and it ranked for this particular URL. So these features are your keyword, which sections you picked, and then the URL it is specific for. Now, I wanted to bring up a lot of these views here and in conjunction with your viewfinder. So your display options are up on the right here. You can click into this and check mark every column you want to see. This is a really good tool for maximizing kind of what data is in front of you and making sure you're not seeing that anything you don't need. For example, I have this Bing column right here. We didn't add any Bing search engine criteria, so we're not going to have any Bing ratings. So I can just take that completely out of our view here. And now it'll, be a more concise, more compact view of what I actually checked. And something else we can do here, you can add your URL that you found in the check. You can add your locale, your city, zip code, and your tracking frequency. So now all these, we're tracking these on a daily basis. These are our keywords that have a zip code associated. Your locale is going to be the language and then the location that you checked it against. So you have all this information tied in here. This information also gets pulled directly from Authority Labs. That is our API partner there for these keywords. So jumping back into this, you have your keyword, your rank, your URL, and then any other views you add in. Something to note here is as you add more keywords, we currently only display one keyword rank combination per line item. So what that means is, as you can see here, we had Nashville SEO rank 11th for Google, and then we had Nashville SEO rank 30th for Yahoo. We entered those in at the same time and under two different keyword search parameters, so it entered in two different line items. You're not going to see 11th and 30th on the same line item. Something you can do to group them all together is sort. You can click on the columns at the top to sort. You can sort by keyword so everything's kind of compact and in one area. That is something we're looking into, but just wanted to point that out, that you're going to see different line items for each combination you entered in. So I'll kind of go down the list again. We're coming from Authority Labs. Here's your Google rank. This section right here, if you hover over the sections, they give you a readout of what they are. If you hover over Google with this little triangle right here, it is the change in position. So you're going to see that change in position. It's going to be highlighted in green or red with a number, and it's going to show you if that has fluctuated. This, for example, these have been running for a couple of days now, and they haven't fallen off that number 2 rank, so there is no change. But if there were a change, you would see that highlighted here. The other thing to note is that this whole screen is based on a view. So your viewfinder up here, your date picker, excuse me, you can select here, and it's just like the rest of Raven where you can select a specific date range. Right now, we're only seeing rankings between the 1st and the 31st. So the change in position is going to be based on that date range. So if you're running checks for once a month and you want to see a change in date range, you're going to want to click up here and select, maybe you want to dive back to December or so to see the change between December and January. So you're going to have to make sure the date range you want to view, if you're looking specifically for changes, this is going to be pretty important. You're going to want to make sure that date range is encompassed. So for instance, from the 1st to the 31st, these are all the rank checks we had. We have it checking daily, and it hasn't fallen off a couple of these ranks here. So then you go to your URL, or I'll jump back to the type here. The type is pretty important. This is going to be the type of ranking you have within your Google search. So for instance, this is a map location. Anytime you see this little dot, it is a map location. So when you, this is going to be in position B on the map. This is going to be in position A. There's also a little picture icon that comes up if you're ranking in the images section. There's I believe a video camera if you're in the video section there. Most of the icons are pretty self-explanatory. These ones are a little bit difficult, just these map locations, but just so you're aware, anything like this is basically like a pin drop is what it's supposed to represent, and you'll see A, B, and C on the map location as your type. Great, so I'll jump into the URL section now. This is going to be the URL you ranked for. You might see multiple URLs. This is a great example down here. So this particular URL ranked 16th in Yahoo, but this particular URL ranked 2nd. So this is just saying that multiple pages on the website we're looking at are ranking for this keyword. We don't tally up checks for that. So the way the check works is you'll run one check. It'll check you and your competitors fully. So if you have multiple URLs here, that's going to still be under one check. So for example, this Nashville SEO consultant for Yahoo, it checked these three websites, or these three URLs, excuse me, and that was one check. So just kind of wanted to point that out as well. So we went over the locale, that's language and country. It's going to show your zip code and your tracking frequency. Everything's going to be displayed on this one page. Another thing to note is anytime you come into a keyword that was added from your keyword manager and tagged there, you'll see that here. So we know at Nashville SEO is in our keyword manager, and it is tagged for keyword manager. So next thing I wanted to point out is we have these gear icons on the left here. These are going to be your setting icons for the particular line entry. If you click on it, you can do a few different things in this area. You can add more variations, which if you click on that, what it's going to do is bring you back to this screen. This is the keyword we're tracking, and you can go ahead and add more. Say, you know, you're tracking on a daily frequency and you were looking at Google and it's ranking really well. Now you want to check your Google mobile, you can go in here and add that. Hit submit and review and confirm, and it'll add it just like it did before. This will not take away the line item that is already there. It's just simply adding a new one. You can hit edit frequency setting. This is pretty helpful. You can click in this and see the current frequency setting. So maybe this says monthly and you don't know what day of the month you're tracking on. If you click that, it'll say monthly and it'll show the day that you're currently tracking on, and then you can change that if you want. So you can go in here and change. So if you were tracking, say, on the 10th, when you clicked that edit frequency settings, it would bring you right to this screen. You'd be able to see, okay, I'm bringing back rankings on the 10th. And then you can change it if needed. You can hit remove from SERP Tracker. Now this is an interesting functionality, and I will point that out. I think actually this might be a good time. I'll show you the tabs up here and then show you how that relates. So the tabs up on the top here, you can look at your latest position, you can look at your average position, and you can look at your ranking keywords versus all keywords. So this is the latest position that came up on these ranks for ranking keywords. You could click all keywords, and this is going to show you all keywords that have been added to your account over time, and you can look at where they last ranked or what their average rank was. And then this is also going to show you if you have keywords that didn't rank. They're going to be displayed with an NA next to them. So instead of this 11, it'll say NA. And that way you know that this particular keyword for this URL did not rank the last time you checked it. So that's important to know. If you ever enter in some keywords and you're like, hey, you know, these fell off. I submitted a keyword, but it didn't work for some reason. You can go to all keywords and you might see it has an NA, and then you realize it just didn't rank was really the issue there. So we're going to go back to ranking keywords, and I wanted to point out this feature of remove from SERP Tracker. We are going through a optimization process on this button. I'll explain the way it works, and what this is going to say when you're on ranking keywords is something along the lines of remove future checks. What this is going to do is right now we're tracking this keyword. This is what it ranks right now. We're tracking it on a daily frequency in this zip code. You can click on this gear, remove from SERP Tracker. That button again is going to say something along the lines of stop future checks. That is going to stop it from checking on the next frequency. So right now it's set up on daily. If I were to click that, it's going to stop it from checking daily, and it's going to remove it from your ranking keywords. Once you do that, it's going to fall to the all keywords tab because it is no longer being ranked or checked for rankings. Now, if you were to click it over here, it still says remove from SERP Tracker. That is true. So at that point, you can click this button and it's going to remove it completely from your SERP Tracker. So ideally what you want to see is, hey, we have 10 keywords here that aren't ranking. We've been checking these, once a week for a couple of months. We're going to remove it from the SERP tracker for now so it doesn't clutter up what we have in there, and we can, work on that in the future. That's a way to do that. Or you can say, hey, we've been checking this daily for 5 months and it's ranked number 2 every single check. We are going to stop the checks for now and come back in a couple of months and see if, if there's been any changes. You could do that as well. So again, those are some optimizations coming down the pipe here for that wording on that button, but I wanted to kind of lay out how that works. So the next thing we have is you can add these keywords to your keyword manager or to your research central. We tried to make these 3 in particular areas of the platform kind of able to send keywords back and forth, because a lot of times you'll check your ranking here and you'll say we want that to pull into your keyword manager section. So you'll click here, you'll hit add to keyword manager, and Nashville SEO will go right into your keyword manager section so you can track it. Or you can go to research keyword and pull in additional information in the research keyword functionality. Great. So the next thing I wanted to point out here is in this button right here, you can click save to CSV as well as save all data, current view, or save to a PDF. There is a bug with this right now that we're working out, and that should be resolved hopefully soon. But so if you're clicking on that and getting an error, that is being worked on currently. So you'll want to, if you want to make it so you're seeing more keywords on a page, you can change your pagination here, and there's some really great options. The last thing I wanted to point out on the SERP Tracker field right here is going to be your overall statistics up at the top. You have an average rank, and then you have, say, ranks 1 through 3. What that's doing is looking at the date range you have specified, and you have 3 that are ranking right here. You have 1, 2, and 3 that are all ranking between 1 and 3. So I wanted to point that out. This is going to be kind of a summary of all the keywords you have available to you. So if we go to the next step, I'm going to point out is our competitors. And just a reminder to everybody, if you have any questions, you go ahead and put it in the chat there. Jeremy's putting some additional notes for you as well. So if you want to take a look at those, and if you have any questions, go ahead and put that in the chat, and Jeremy can grab those for later. So we'll look at the competitors tab here. This is a nice area of the SERP Tracker. What you can do is jump in here and see, this is that top section I was telling you about that's giving you kind of your average rank across all keywords, how many keywords you have on your section ranking 1 through 3, 4 through 10, and on pages 2+. This gives you that information for your URL versus any competitors that you add in, as well as specific keywords. You can go and see where your competitors are. So Nashville SEO Consultant, you see we rank 1 here and our competitor ranks 14th. So you can add in, your competitors in this section here, and you can see your statistics versus your competitors when it comes to keyword rankings. We've found this is pretty helpful for a lot of people, so definitely wanted to point this out. You can look at your different search engines. So for instance, I think we had a couple Yahoo rankings there. So you can go here and see your Yahoo on those keywords versus your competitors. So there's a lot of good information for that. You can also add a competitor here through this section as well, or you can add a competitor right here, and that'll go straight to your competitor manager. Great. So the next thing I want to jump into is our WYSIWYG reporting and the modules there for the SERP Tracker. I'm going to go ahead and go into our reports. And I've added these modules already. You can either add your KPIs that are going to show you kind of that top line of information I was explaining before, your average rank among all keywords, how many you have ranking on certain pages. So the KPIs are going to give you a good overview of what you have among all keywords. And then you can bring in your keyword ranking positions table, which is going to show you your specific keywords, your rankings, and all that information that was in the SERP Tracker, you can bring right back into here. Something else to point out for this is this is going to be based on this date range you have set for the report. So right now we're on the 1st to the 31st. So we're showing information in this WYSIWYG report as it pertains to how the SERP tracker would look from the 1st to the 31st. So kind of sticking with that, I wanted to show you, if we look at last month, I didn't have any of these keywords in, and we hit save, we're going to get zeros for a lot of this information. And what that's saying to us is that if you go back and look at the SERP tracker for this date, the 1st to the 31st of December, there are no rankings. So if you ever see this when you're entering widgets, just be sure to check your date range here and go ahead and compare that to a date range in your SERP tracker, and that information should be the same. So if you're seeing zeros here, most likely you're going to see zeros for this date range in your SERP tracker as well. So I wanted to point that out. All right, I'm going to jump into here the keyword manager. We're nearing the end of what I'm going to be showing you on this. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat to Jeremy. We'll jump into the keyword manager. And I just wanted to show you, again, this is the kind of the cross and pieces of the software that we have, where Nashville SEO is a keyword. We're tracking, we're seeing, you know, this information we pull from Keyword Manager, and now we want to check a rank on this. So we go to add to SERP Tracker, and it will bring that keyword into SERP Tracker, and you can add it on that particular frequency that you want, and just the same way you would add in any keyword. So this is a great way to get information on a specific keyword. Say, hey, we want to see, you know, this looks like it's trending really well. Let's go ahead and check the rank on it. And you could do the same thing in Keyword Research Central. So just wanted to point those out. Great. So what I'm going to do now is see if anybody had any questions on a particular functionality, or if you want me to review any additional functionality, I can go ahead and do that for you. I'm kind of looking through a couple of these comments on the chat, and it looks like we don't have many. So if you have anything, definitely shoot it over on that chat, and we can dive through it. I'll give you all a couple of minutes if you want to think about that and take a look there.
Johnny had a question.
Great.
He wanted to know about the 24-hour time frame that we mentioned to see rankings. Just wanted to provide clarity. It was 24 hours at a maximum. We do send it in an immediate queue over to our API partner. So generally they do show up much faster than 24 hours, but we do like to give that time frame just because it's an API limitation. What generally do you see as a time frame for those keywords returning, and is it best to move to a different part or to a different view to see them earlier?
Yeah, so you're right. The 24 hours is a maximum. We usually don't see it take that long. I would say an average might be that, you know, maybe an hour or so, or maybe a little bit longer to start seeing some come through. But, you know, if you're adding in multiple keywords at once, you'll probably want to give it, you know, a little bit of time to check those rankings for you. Another issue that I shouldn't say issue, but another thing we run into is caching. So you might enter in your keywords and not move away from that page, and just because of caching working with the system and things like that, you might not see those results pop up, but they might be there. So I would also recommend, if you enter a bunch of keywords, to kind of maybe, if you have other things to do in the system, you know, go throughout the system, see whatever else you have to do, or just close it out for a little bit and come back a little bit later, maybe in an hour, and see what those rankings are. Just because at that point you would have refreshed your cache, it'll be, you know, a little bit better there. That's also something that we're aware of, is those caching possibilities there, and wanting to improve that, you know, internally. And I'm not a dev member, so I couldn't tell you what, you know, we're doing to make that happen, but I do know that's on our radar as far as you know, improvements that can be made.
So Justin had a question. He was wondering what the max number of keywords I can add per campaign. So I think that goes towards explaining rank position units aren't a limit on the account on how many rank position checks you can do. You could literally track 1 million keywords in here if you wanted to. However, we only include a certain amount of rank position checks for free included in your monthly account based off of the level, whether you have freelance, start, grow, thrive, or lead. Beyond that, additional keyword checks are 0.003 per rank position check. So it's up to you beyond the included amount, how many additional you want to check. We have several users who are checking up to 5,000 different keywords on a single campaign. So it's totally doable, just depends on how much data you're wanting to acquire. Corey had a question. What does it mean if a keyword's average rank is minus 11? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I will say I have not seen that, but I'm pulling this up now and I'm wondering if you are seeing the average rank position. So, excuse me. So we clicked on average position, and if you're seeing a negative 11 in this column here, that means that whatever rank you have has gone down 11 spaces. So I'm wondering if that might be what you're looking at there. I have not seen a negative 11 in the ranking position page. What I would say is if you're seeing it on the ranks and not in the change in ranks, if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot and send that over to the support line, you can either enter in your support ticket through this help bubble at the bottom, or go ahead and email us there. I could definitely take a look at that for you.
Okay. Kareen is wondering if a site ranks in position 1 and 2, for example, will SERP Tracker show both positions?
I believe so. Jeremy might know a little bit more towards that. I think we're going to show.
Yes. The answer is yes. You're seeing this line here that for Nashville SEO, it actually ranks for 2 different URLs are showing up on that first page. So that's on Google and Yahoo are showing rankings. If you do have the same keyword ranking, actually I think you see it right here in Nashville SEO Consultant, ranking both in position 2 and Map Organic and position 4. So if you do show up multiple times, it will show those rankings, as well as if you have multiple different URLs that are ranking, those will also show as their individual line items. Like if you had a successful blog post that ranked for a particular term and your homepage also ranks for it, those will show.
That is correct, and just to add to that as well, that's the scenario where you would have only been it would have only been 1 check towards your rank position check usage. If you rank for multiple URLs or multiple spots, multiple ranks.
Yeah. So the next question is, will the check limits be upgraded on legacy plans, pro, monthly, for example?
So I don't believe that is something that's going to be updated, to my knowledge. Jeremy, do you know anything else on that?
No. If you do want higher included limits for your monthly position checks, that's a trade-off of being a legacy account. There's some limitations on what we can do in the system. So if you do want more rank position checks, we have a couple of new options for start. We also now have the freelance level plan. You may find that the pricing for an annual on the start might be, I think that's a better price actually than the pro plan. So there's a couple of options for upgrading, but if you do want more included rank position checks, you do need to upgrade to a different plan level. However, across all accounts, if you want to exceed the included 1,200 rank position checks for the pro account, they are only 0.003 per position check. So you might want to do that math, figure out how many extra keywords you want to track, and will that offset that change in cost. If you are able to go with the start annual, then you might actually end up saving money. It just depends on what's best for you. Johnny Alfredo has another question. Are there other symbols for type to show other SERP features for the ranked keyword?
Yes, there are, and I don't know the total number off the top of my head, but I do know that after kind of I looked at them in the past, the only ones that weren't pretty self-explanatory were these bubbles here, and these A and B and C is going to be the other map position. But there is a camera, like a real camera for a video. There's like a little picture icon for if you're ranking on images. There's a couple other that I can't think of off the top of my head, but they're pretty self-explanatory in the images. So you might see a couple different types there.
Okay, yeah. I'm wondering, I don't think we have any list of what those tooltips are. Do we have a support page in Zendesk that walks through the iconography for that type, or can give some additional information for this particular tool that people can reference after this webinar?
Right now we do not, but what I can do is put that in motion to make that happen. And what else I can do is see if I can get that list, and we can send it out to anybody who needs it there.
It looks like Leslie Von Marek would love for that, so we'll make sure Leslie gets that. Let's see, are there other symbols? What is the ideal time frame, best practice to check the position of a keyword? I would say that it really comes down to what's important for you as a business versus what you need to show to to your boss or your client. So if you're working with a client and you're giving them monthly reports, then maybe you only need to check that position once a month. If you're you're doing a lot of optimization and you're figuring out, making changes on a consistent basis, then you're probably going to want to do, a daily position check to see what the impact of those changes to that page is over time. So it really depends on what your purpose is behind this rank tracking. Are you a small business and you just want your fingers on the pulse? Then maybe weekly or monthly will give you a broad enough picture because you're not actually that active, in actively changing these things. Or maybe your relationship with the client is only, like having a bunch of checks every day is just going to use up your rank position check budget, but you don't actually reference it that much. So I think those are the reasons behind rank tracking that you're going to want to think through. And thank you. Is there a way to check that we are not tracking a keyword twice? Yeah, you're not going to be able to, if you try to put in the same keyword again for the same engine, it's not going to let you track the same keyword on the same engine twice. But you would probably want to use the search phrase sort so that you're sorting these, because you're going to have, potentially multiple engines or different zip codes where you're tracking the same keyword in different engines. So you are going to be tracking a keyword twice or 3 times or 4 times or up to 8 times. There's actually a lot of ways that you could check the same keyword in multiple engines. So sorting by that keyword would probably be the best way to visualize that.
And we also have this search function up here, so you could type in a keyword that you're looking for, hit search, and it'll pull up all the combinations of that keyword. So that's also an option if you want to see what you have and make sure you don't double up there.
Great. Sean, go ahead and click on that keyword finder on the left-hand side there. Very excited about this. This is in a very rough beta, but go ahead and plug in jeremyrivera.seo.com. This is a new feature that it would help if you spell it right.
Yeah, right.
with no spaces.
Gotcha.
It's a domain name.
Gotcha.
So what this tool is going to do is going to connect to a new API partnership that we're setting up, and it's going to HTTPS. So it's domain. There you go. Oh, no. Take out the capital.
All right. All right, there we go.
There we go. All right. Okay. So what this tool is going to do is going to allow you to drop in either a specific URL or an overall domain name to see what you currently rank for without having to manually have set a rank position check. So it's going to return your current position. It's going to return the URL that is ranking for that particular query. It's going to show you the volume of that search query according to Google AdWords API. Then it's going to give an estimated traffic number. So that's based off of the click-through rate of being in position number 4 and the search volume for that particular query. Next, it will give the cost per click for that query if you were doing AdWords bidding. And it will give a column saying what the cost of that organic traffic would be if you were paying for it on pay-per-click. And then it will highlight what are the SERP features on that particular query. Are there photos? Are there videos? Are there local results? So it will surface those same set of SERP features. And then once you click on the gear icon, you can start tracking this on a daily basis or add it to Keyword Manager. So the idea behind this is, hey, you don't know what keyword you need to track. Well, we're going to provide you with a tool that's going to surface, what keywords you currently rank for. We're still working out our data partnership. I'm going to be making it available to certain people to beta test this feature and work out any bugs. We're going to be able to have these saved as historical things so that you can reference them, so you can send them as individual reports. I know that a key part of keyword research for some clients is letting them know what they currently rank for. There's a lot of potential functionality here, and I'm excited to get to work on it. It's still being baked, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up as a thank you for coming in and participating on our feature webinar, our first Spotlight feature webinar, give you a hint as to what we're doing in the future. I think that's about it, Sean.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for showing up. If you guys want to potentially be early beta testers for this tool, go ahead and send me an email at jeremy@raventools.com, and I'll add you to our advanced user group. I also send out, participation surveys and figure things out, send out some free t-shirts to our advanced user group as a thank you for giving us feedback. We're in a growth mode. We're really trying to discover new features and options and tools that are going to make you guys happy, that are going to make your clients satisfied with the reports and tools that you get. So if you do want to be part of our advanced user group, go ahead and send me an email. I don't think, let me just double check the questions. Where would the keyword finder pull data from? Currently, we're looking at potentially data for SEO as our API partner, but we're still testing out multiple API partners for this data set. Any last questions? All right. Thank you guys for attending our webinar. I do believe this will be turned into a recording and will be available afterwards, and it will get sent automatically from GoToWebinar. So thanks for coming out and participating.
That's right. Thank you, everybody, and look forward to seeing you on some more future Spotlight webinars here. We'll be doing them every 2 weeks. So thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good job, Sean.